It's just before 7 in the morning, and you are standing in a hole in the ground in northern France, waiting for a whistle that is about to get most of the men around you killed. You can't see the enemy. You can barely see the sky. What you can see is a wooden ladder leaning against the wall of the trench in front of you. And you already know that in a few minutes, an officer is going to put a whistle to his lips, and you are going to climb that ladder. The instant your head clears the top of the trench, you will be standing upright, in the open, in full view of machine guns that fire 600 rounds a minute. And here is the part that sounds insane, the part that is absolutely true. You will not be allowed to run. This is what it actually meant to go over the top. Not the clean, roaring charge from the war films. Not flags and bugles and a quick dash to glory. It was the worst few minutes a human being has ever been asked to live through, broken into 4 parts: the wait, the whistle, the climb, and the walk. By the end of this, you are going to understand exactly what those minutes did to a man, why the generals were so completely certain it would work, why it failed so catastrophically that a single morning of it became the bloodiest day in the entire history of the British Army, and what it really felt like to be the man on that ladder. So let's start where the soldier starts, in the trench, in the dark, with the clock running down. The wait is the part nobody warns you about, and it might be the worst of all. You've been in the line for days. You haven't slept properly and longer than that. Your boots are wet. They've been wet for a week, and your feet have started to rot inside them. And for the last 7 days, your own artillery has been firing over your head, day and night, without stopping. More than 1.5 million shells fired at the German line a few hundred yards away. The ground hasn't stopped shaking. Men have gone deaf. Men have gone mad. And you have been told, again and again, that all of that steel is doing its job. That by the time you climb out, there will be nothing left over there but craters and corpses. In the last hour before it begins, the small rituals start. A rum ration comes down the line, a stiff measure of it, strong enough to take the edge off the shaking in your hands. They want a little fire in you, and a little numbness. You load your rifle, and you fix your bayonet. That long blade clicking onto the end of the barrel, even though some part of you already suspects how little it's going to matter. And you check your kit, because you're about to climb that ladder carrying somewhere around 60 pounds of equipment on your back. Ammunition, water, rations, shovels, sandbags, sometimes barbed wire and stakes. So much weight that men who fell into a flooded shell hole that day would never come back up. You are not built to sprint. You are built to plod. Remember that, because it's about to matter more than anything. And then, at the worst possible moment, the guns stop. After 7 days of constant thunder, the silence is so sudden it hurts. And every man in that trench knows exactly what it means. The barrage has lifted. It is 7:30 in the morning, the 1st of July, 1916, and 0 hour has come. This is the signal, not just to you, to the Germans too. So before the whistle blows, you need to understand why you are about to be sent walking into open ground, because the reasoning seemed flawless to the men who gave the order. The plan was simple, and on paper, almost merciful. A week of shells would smash the German barbed wire to pieces and cut clean lanes through it. It would collapse their trenches and bury their machine guns. It would kill the defenders, or leave the survivors so shattered and stunned they could barely stand. And so the order came down that the infantry should not charge at all. They should climb out, form neat lines, and walk. Walk at a steady pace, shoulder to shoulder, all the way across no man's land, because there would be no one left alive to stop them. The walking wasn't cruelty. It was confidence. There was just one thing the plan did not account for, and it was waiting 40 feet beneath your feet. The Germans had spent 2 years digging, not shallow scrapes, but deep dugouts cut far down into the chalk, some of them 4 stories underground, lined with concrete and timber, with bunk beds and electric light. When your bombardment began, the German soldiers simply walked down the stairs into the earth, sat in the dark, and waited. For 7 days, they waited while the world came apart above them, and the moment your guns fell silent, they knew their cue just as well as you knew yours. They came back up the stairs, dragged their machine guns to the lip of their trench, and set them up, pointing at the open ground you were about to walk across. In many places, your week of shelling hadn't even cut the wire. And now the whistle blows. It is a small, shrill sound, almost absurd for what it sets in motion. All down the line, officers blow it at once, and there is no more waiting, no more time to think. You put your boot on the first rung of the ladder, and you climb, because the man behind you is climbing too, and because stopping is its own kind of death sentence. Your head clears the parapet, and for one strange, quiet second, you can see it all: the churned brown earth, the distant line of the enemy, the morning light. And then the machine guns open up. They don't fire at single men. They fire in long, sweeping arcs, traversing back and forth across the lines of walking soldiers like a man watering a garden. The sound is a continuous tearing, and the first rank simply folds. Men drop where they stand, all along the line, in the first seconds, before most of them have taken 10 steps. And the orders hold. You do not run, you walk. You step over the men who were standing beside you a moment ago, and you keep your pace into the fire, because that is what you were told to do, and the discipline has been drilled into you deeper than the fear. A man who lived through it said the bullets came so thick it was like walking into heavy rain and trying not to flinch. If you make it more than a few steps, no man's land itself becomes the enemy. The ground is a wasteland of overlapping craters, half full of stinking water, tangled with old wire, and littered with the dead from every attack that came before yours. You can't walk a straight line. You stumble down into a crater and claw your way up the other side, that 60 pounds of kit dragging at you the whole way. The wire that was supposed to be cut rises up in front of you in thick, uncut belts, and the men ahead pile up against it, searching for a gap, bunching together. And the machine gunners know exactly where those gaps are, because they left them there. The wire is where men hung and died in numbers, caught fast, unable to go forward or back. And the few who somehow crossed all of it, who reached the German trench still alive, found the war's other secret waiting. Down in those narrow, zigzag corridors, the long rifle and bayonet you were so carefully trained with became almost useless, too long to swing, prone to getting stuck fast in a man's body. The fighting down there was done with clubs studded with hobnails, with sharpened shovels, with knives and fists, the most modern army on Earth reduced in an instant to something medieval. And even then, behind that first trench was a second, and a third, with fresh defenders waiting in each one. So here is how the morning ended. On that single day, The 1st of July, 1916, the British Army suffered something close to 60,000 casualties. Nearly 20,000 men were killed, a great many of them in the first hour, a number of them in the first few minutes, cut down before they had crossed even half of that open ground. It remains the deadliest single day in the entire history of the British Army, and for all of it, almost no ground was taken that mattered. Many of the men who fell that morning never even reached the enemy wire. And the hardest part to understand, looking back, is that this did not end it. The whistles kept blowing, on that front and others, for 2 more years. Wave after wave of men climbed those ladders into the same guns because the generals could not yet imagine another way. And the soldiers, extraordinarily, kept climbing when they were asked. So the next time you see it in a film, that quick and tidy rush across no man's land, remember what it actually was. A wet, sleepless, 60-pound, rum-steadied walk into machine guns, ordered at a stroll, by men who were certain the enemy was already dead. The soldiers who went over the top were not reckless, and they were not numb. They climbed that ladder knowing, most of them, exactly what was on the other side. And that, more than the mud or the wire or the guns, is the part worth sitting with. Not how they died, but what it took to stand up, put a boot on that first rung, and climb anyway.